question. Today, a Muslim NGO called for presidential candidate Dr. Carson to step down because of his anti-Muslim stand. He said that he does not believe a Muslim should be a president. What's the White House reaction to that?
Well, I hadn't seen that statement. Obviously, Dr. Carson doesn't hold any position, so I'm not sure what he could step down from. But I think.
They meant to withdraw from the race.
Oh, withdraw from the race. Well, I mean, I think what is clear is that, and this goes to something that we talked about in this room quite a bit on Friday, which is that we have seen not just a tendency but a willingness on the part of some successful Republican politicians, and let's face it, Dr. Carson in many of the polls ranks second or third. So at least in the last few months, he's been quite successful in elevating his status in the Republican Party. And we've seen a willingness on the part of many of those candidates to countenance offensive views, all in pursuit of political support. And in the case of the Republican primary, in the pursuit of votes. And, I think what's particularly disappointing to many observers, including me, is that we haven't seen a significant outcry from all of the other candidates in the Republican race. And it's for the same reason, because they're chasing for the same votes. And the fact is, this is not something that's consistent with the values of the vast majority of Americans. And ironically enough, I actually do think that the views articulated by Dr. Carson are entirely inconsistent with the Constitution that does actually guarantee the freedom of religion in this country. So ultimately, there will be consequences. And certainly those views will be taken into account by voters, both in the primary but also in the general election. Okay, Justin. Doug.
Yeah, Josh, you've been quick to criticize other Republican candidates who have failed to condemn Dr. Ben Carson's comments about Islam or Donald Trump's lack of comments about Islam when he was offered a question. Would you be so quick to condemn other Democratic candidates for president who failed to condemn Hillary Clinton's email practices?
Well, Jim, I think that it's hard to, I'm sorry, Doug, I think it's hard to sort of draw a connection between those two things. The fact is, the concerns that I have expressed have been with those Republicans who have been reluctant to condemn the cynical strategy that's employed by Mr. Trump and others to appeal for the political support of those with offensive views. And the concern that I have is simply that those candidates are doing the same thing. The reason they're reluctant to offer that condemnation is because they're hoping for the political support from those same individuals. And that's unfortunate. But look, we've seen other successful Republican politicians engage in this strategy in ways that has yielded significant benefits for themselves or for their party. But doesn't make it okay. It doesn't mean that it's consistent with American values. In fact, I think it's inconsistent with the values that most Americans hold.
And back to Ben Carson's comments about a hypothetical Muslim president. Let's fast forward, assuming there is a hypothetical Muslim president. Do you draw a distinction between a moderate Muslim president or one who believes in a strict interpretation of Sharia law to encompass the subjugation of women, the hanging of gays, the stoning of adulterers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, Doug, I think what is clear is that in any election, hypothetical or real, the American people will consider the values of those candidates who are on the ballot. And I think that is true regardless of the specific religion of any of the candidates. And so, again, it's hard to... so I think that would be my answer to the question.